Yeah, welcome to today's tutorial. Now, in today's tutorial, we'll continue from where we stopped. In the last class, we talked about our camera settings and we talked about the tools we can use in our Max interface. In today's class, we are going to do our V-Ray settings. So you don't have V-Ray installed on your system for your 3D Max, try and get it installed. If you need the V-Ray installation, you can WhatsApp me in our group page or individual. Now let's start. So we have gotten our camera shots. I know I'm hammering on this camera shot because it's very, very important. If you don't have a good view, every other thing, every other rule will not come out well. So I think our camera shots is okay like this. I'll go to my physical camera. I'll select camera, modify. Then I'll go to my perspective control to see whether it's um, automatically tilted. So auto vertical tilt correction, so it is okay like this, it is straight like this. Now for our V-Ray settings, you come to this extreme end, your right hand corner, you see render setup, you see render frame window, and you will see render production. Render setup will take us to the V-Ray setup page. This will take us to the rendering that we have done. This will take us to where we are going to do our render. So it's the first one you click on, the render setup. When you click on the render setup, it brings about this dialog box. Now let's do it one by one. Under common is the first one. Now before you even do that, always make sure that your target is on production rendering mode and your renderer is the V-Ray. You know we are using V-Ray. There are other types. You can see NVIDIA, Mental Ray, default scanline, and all sorts. But we are using what? V-Ray Advanced 3.2, which works well with 2016. Each V-Ray has a version for the corresponding Max version. So if you need a crack of any of the versions for 2015, 2016, and I think 2014, we can give that to you. Now let's continue. So make sure your assign renderer, if you go scroll down, your assign renderer, you have under your production V-Ray Advanced 3.2, while your active shade is V-Ray RT 3.2. Then you lock it up so that in subsequent Max files it is always by default. That means we have saved it as our default. You don't have to come here and be changing all the time. So please note that. So under common, you have time output. This has to do with animation. We are not doing animation now. We are doing rendering. Now area to render should be on view. Our output size should be custom. Now when we are doing the final rendering settings, we will change it to HDTV. Note that we'll change it to HDTV, but for now let's leave it at custom because we are just doing a draft rendering settings. So view and custom, note that. Now under options, you have all this one checked: atmosphere, effects, and displacement. Under advanced lighting, you check use advanced lighting. Under render output, if you want to be automatically saving your rendering output, you just click on save file. You click on file and you say you should save it here, but it will be taking up space, so I don't really do that. So you have understood that. Under email notification, that's for internet scripts. Don't do anything here, so minimize. You can minimize so that it is you understand it better. When you are through with something, just minimize like that. So we said scripts, we have nothing to do there. Under assign render, we said their production should be V-Ray Advanced 3.2 and the active shade should be V-Ray RT 3.2. Then we save as default and we lock it. That means we lock it to the current renderer settings. Now the next one is V-Ray. I hope you are good with this. I think we are good with this. View custom, that's the most important thing. Under V-Ray, let me minimize everything so that you understand them one by one. Now the first one is authorization. We don't have anything to do. This is just telling us that we have been authorized to use it. This about view tells us what the view and the type of the version that we are using. Let's minimize this. Global switches. Now under global switches, we check lights and hidden lights. Now if you are using a higher version like 2016, it has default mode, advanced mode and expert mode. So make sure you toggle between the three to see if there's any settings that you need to do there. So you can see default mode, this is the advanced mode. It shows more things there. It shows the probabilistic light. It shows off with GI. So make sure your default is off with GI. That's general illumination. Make sure your default is off with GI. Check this, check. Then under expert, let's see what it has. Almost the same thing with advanced. So when you're through, you just go back to your default to reduce space. So we minimize this one. Then we come to the next one, which is frame buffer. Make sure when you are doing the final render settings, you say enable built-in frame buffer, so it will take it step by step. It will show you everything gradually, how it is being, how the lights are being calculated, how the various settings are being utilized. It shows everything step by step. She understand? I'm using layman language. It shows it the process of how everything is being rendered. So when we are doing the final rendering settings, we'll check it. The anytime we do it, anytime we render in frame buffer, you can see our last V-Ray render by clicking on this one. So for example, when we finish rendering our final rendering settings, I want to go back to the last render view. We just say show last VFB and we take us to the last render settings that we did. So please note that down when you want to go back to a render you have done before. So let's minimize this one. The next one is image sampler. This one has to do with how your image comes out. Is it sharp? Is it blur? Is it bright? These are the things that they use. They use the type and they use the filter. For draft rendering settings, you put it as fixed. If you look at it, it's trying to tell you what's fixed. Fixed will trace camera settings, camera equal to square, blah blah blah. All those ones are grammar. When we are doing the final one, we change it to adaptive subdivision. Then we change our filter to area. Note it, image sampler type is fixed. When we are doing the final rendering setting, to be adaptive subdivision. Then this one will be either I either use cat room or Michel Netravelli. Now cat room will make it a sharp, very sharp. Let's click on it. It has an information. It's taking time to load the information. Okay, you can see it there. A 25 pixel filter will pronounce edge enhancement effects. That's what this cat room will do for. If we use Michelin, it's a 2-parameter filter, trade-off blurring against rigging. All those ones is just trying to explain the filter type. So but for our draft rendering settings, you put this one as fixed and you put this one as area. You leave the size as 1.5. So we are through with it and we minimize. The next one is fixed image sampler. For here we are not doing anything. Environment, we are taking our environment from an HDRI map, so we are not doing anything with this one. So we minimize. Camera, same thing, we are not doing anything. We minimize. Color mapping. Now for draft, let's use linear multiply. When we want to do the final render, we'll change it to Renard. There are other types. Other people use exponential intensity. It all depends on your settings, but what I use to get what I get is what I'm teaching you. So let's use linear multiplier for now. Then all this one, we leave it as default. Now under advanced, we have our gamma as 2.2, dark and bright 1 each. We go to expert mode, it's still the same thing that is there. Now under this one, we click sub pixel mapping. That's to give the color a very sharp color, and click on clamp output. This one has to do with interiors, but let's click on it for now. It has some effects. So we are through with our V-Ray. I hope you get it. So please go over it again and make sure you understand it. Let me go over it one more time. Authorization, we are not doing anything there. About V-Ray, we are not doing anything. Global switches, you expand this one. This one should be off with GI. Then you minimize. Frame buffer, you enable built-in frame buffer when you are doing your final rendering settings. Image sampler, fixed and area for now. This one we are not doing anything. Environment, we are not doing anything. Camera, we are not doing. Other color mapping, you put it at linear multiply, and you leave the values for gamma, dark and bright as it is. Then sub pixel mapping, you check, affect background, check, clamp output, check. Then you minimize. Then we are going to the next one, which is GI, the global illumination. Global illumination. Yes, I wanted this global illumination to be because that's the main topic. So global illumination. So when you come here, you enable GI. Under global illumination, we have primary engine and secondary engine. This one has to do with the light calculation, how the light comes up in your scene. So under primary, we use irradiance map. Under secondary, we use light catch. Again, under primary, we use irradiance map. Under secondary, we use light catch. So under this default, let's expand it and see what is there. Now, you come to this ambient occlusion and click on it. This ambient occlusion makes sure that your edges are sharp. It makes your edges to be sharp. You understand it when we are doing it. We'll do one without it and we'll do one with it, so you know why we need to check this our ambient occlusion. You still leave the value as 0.8. Then we minimize. So the next one is light catch. Our subdivision should be 1000 for now. 1000. Then you click on show calculation phase, sample size 0.01. Then you minimize. The next one is irradiance map. Let's put it at very low or low so that it doesn't take time in rendering. Then our subdivision as 50. Then interpolation samples as 20 for now. When we want to do a higher version, this one will be 75, this one might be 25, and this one might be medium. It all depends. Now let's see what's inside our advanced. Show calculation phase, yes. Then if you want more details to your one, maybe we are doing your what they call it, final render settings, you check on it. For now, we are doing draft render center settings. Under experts, if you don't want different levels, you don't want your viewers to showing these different passes, that means pass 1, pass 2. I'll show you when we are doing the render settings. You just uncheck it. I mean, you check it, that means you just want one, you don't want multiple passing. Sorry, let me say that you uncheck it, that means you don't want multiple passing, you just want only one passing. That's the final rendering passing. You understand it when we are doing the rendering. So that is all for irradiance map. Caustic is when we are dealing with water. Then settings. Under settings, how do you want your sequence? Is it top to bottom? Is it right to left? I always do my own from top to bottom, so I can see how it is from the top to the bottom. Then every other thing you leave it as it is. Let us check our advanced if there's anything we are supposed to check there. No, but make sure that your settings you have this checked. Use Embree. Embree makes it work the process faster. You check. Then your dynamic memory limits depends on your computer. Now my computer is 8000 gigram or whatever. So you have to use like half of it so that you can be able to other windows can be functioning. If I use 8000, that means I can't do any other thing. So same thing for your system. If you are using a 4 gig RAM, that means you have to dedicate like 2000 MB for your rendering, for your max, because it takes a lot of RAM. You understand? The higher the RAM you have, the better your work renders faster. So note that this dynamic memory limit is dependent on your RAM size. You can see total RAM limit for dynamic raycasters, etc. So try and find out, if you don't know what your RAM is, and use half of it for your max rendering setting. Now, low thread priority. That means if you want your, what they call it, your render to be slow, I mean not to be not to take too much RAM, you click on low thread priority. You click on low thread priority. Here you can see turning this on will cause Vray to use threads of lower priority when rendering. It's all about maximizing your RAM. Those are technical details anyway. So that's for GI. Under settings, that's what we have. I mean, that's for settings. Under render element, when we are doing the final render settings and want to add more effigy, we come to render elements, then we add. We can add V-Ray filter, V-Ray lighting, V-Ray alpha. It's just to give the, what they call it, the image a more better look. I use this one when I have jobs that are very, very important. Maybe the client is a very big client and it can pay, because some clients cannot pay, so one does not take all the effort to do all this V-Ray extra text, V-Ray diffuse filter and all that. It is when you have clients that really know the value of these renderings that we are doing. So when maybe you want to do that, what we do is just to click on what you want and add, and into array in this place. So when you are through, you go to a folder and everything will be inside that thing. So when we are doing the advanced rendering settings, I will show you how to use it. So that is all about our V-Ray render settings. So I don't want to do a lot so that you understand this V-Ray render. I know the first one was the camera, this one is the V-Ray. So please practice your V-Ray render settings. So what you are going to do is to, for example, I'll come on here, you take a snapshot and send to me. V-Ray, under global, you take the snapshot. V-Ray buffer, you take the snapshot. Which other one did I say we use? Image sampler, you take the snapshot. Color mapping, you take the snapshot. GI, you take the snapshot. Light catch, take the snapshot. With radiance map, take the snapshot. Under settings, dynamic, this one, you take the snapshot and send to me. So that wraps up today's class. So in the next class, we will be creating our dome, our V-Ray dome. I have mine here, but I don't want to make the class a bit difficult. I want you to understand what we are doing. So the next class, we'll talk about our V-Ray dome. That means our HDRI, how we can bring our HDRI into our scene and light up our scenes. HDRI maps are used to light up your scenes. There are other methods you can use to light up your scene, like the V-Ray sun and the arc exterior. I will teach you HDRI, then I'll teach you the arc exterior, because I've used both in doing my rendering settings. So I'll be expecting your assignments today before the next class, and I hope to see you then. Bye.